Hey guys, I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary within the SubTo community and mentorship just last week, in the last week of January 2024. So I joined in January of 2023, and I wanted to share with you my experience and that journey in 1 year's time frame as to what I did, what I accomplished, what I failed at, where I'm at now, and where I'm going. And hopefully there's some parts of this that you attach to or align to or can see yourself, okay, I relate to that, because I'm just a regular person. I grew up in small town Oregon, moved to Phoenix, Arizona about 5 or 6 years ago. I work full-time as a mechanical engineer as my W-2. I still do to this day. My wife is a labor and delivery nurse, so we both work a W-2. I have you can't really see it up here, but I have a 15-month-old daughter, little Millie. She's absolutely amazing, and actually next week my wife is due for our second little girl, or boy, we don't know yet actually. Growing up in Oregon, opportunities are very limited is what I've learned. I graduated with an engineering degree and got a job right out of college, and the amount of income you get as an engineer in some aspects of mechanical engineering, which is what I work in, is very limited. You're capped. No matter how hard you work, this is the corporate world. No matter how hard you work, the salary, the income is very limited, and the freedoms are limited. And so for me, I have some other things that I want to try and accomplish with my life and travel the world and show her and a legacy for our family that's different than the one that was provided to me. My mind is amazing. My family, my parents live just down the road. We have such an amazing relationship. They're my best friends, and I'm grateful for the lifestyle I had. And just like any parent wants to provide a better life for their kids than what's provided for them, it's no different, and I'm hoping to achieve that as well. And we moved to Phoenix, and very quickly we realized that the opportunities down here have been amazing for us. And we bought our very first home back in 2018 for $258,500. It was $1,500 over list price. And I even asked the agent at the time, this is my first home I ever bought. Family's never owned a home. And so I asked him, I said, is that too much? And then he goes, no, that's normal, and he goes, you also have a 3.25% interest rate. I'm like, is that good? I didn't know any of this stuff, right? We buy the home, we spend 2 years in it, and in that time frame, we quickly realized the power of real estate. And in that time frame, we put some sweat equity into it. We put in a backyard with the fake grass, the pavers, a fire pit. We did some interior repainting, shiplap, all of the little things, right? Lipstick, I would say. And in that 2-year time frame, real estate went up. And we looked at the valuation of our home and realized we've amassed a little bit of equity. So we did, in that time frame, I was reading all the books, all the bigger pocket books, all the podcasts, and just learning about real estate, because my upbringing, it's not as if I'm going to start a company tomorrow, or I'm in this large private equity firm, or whatever it may be. Like, I'm blue collar. So what an opportunity for me is to do a blue collar approach is real estate and it's currently still my vehicle that is going to get me to achieve my dreams and goals, which is financial freedom. And in that 2-year time frame, we amassed enough equity. We did what's called a cash out refinance on that property. In the previous video on my YouTube, I touch on that a little bit, but here I'll tell you, we refinanced at, I believe it was $325,000 or something around that ballpark, $330,000. We pulled out $70,000 or $75,000 of money from the home by refinancing it, and we refinanced into a 2.99% interest rate because interest rates went down. So we actually got a better rate. We pulled out $70,000 tax-free, used that as a down payment on another home, which we had scoped out, turned that previous home into a long-term rental property that our mortgage was, I think at that time, $1,200 a month or something, and we had a long-term tenant for $1,650 in that home. So we weren't, that was our first rental, right? We didn't know what we didn't know. And that down payment turned into a home that we still currently own, which is a short-term rental property, which just did a property walkthrough on a previous video. And my wife and I lived in the main house and Airbnb'd out the pool house in the back of the property, and used that as our aha moment to realize that, yep, real estate is our vehicle to financial freedom to help us achieve our dreams. Because we have a long-term rental providing us, $400 cash flow, not really, but $400 cash flow. We have an Airbnb covering all of our expenses. We're living for free. It's absolutely, so we're like, oh my gosh, we need to pour more gasoline onto this fire. We turned that whole home into an Airbnb, moved out, did it again. And so going in, and this was pre-SubTo, you know, this was back in 2019, 2020, 2021. We're operating, you know, we have 3 more Airbnbs at this time. But I quickly realized that to get to that financial freedom number and to get to that point where we can live off of our passive investments, we're gonna need to get more properties. But how do you get more properties when you have to put 20-25% down on everything you purchase? And I didn't have relationships with people who had the money that would do it for me, nor truly the credibility, right? I'm just some, at the time, 28, 29-year-old kid that owns a couple properties that are operating as short-term rentals. You know, I haven't made it yet, right? And so I started researching how to, you know, the books on buying real estate, low and no money down, and all of those things. And, you know, there wasn't really much in there that I could grasp onto and relate to. And I stumbled upon a few YouTube videos, much like I'm sure all of you have too, about pace and everything. And I honestly followed it for probably a year, not knowing, not understanding, not comprehending, but very intrigued and very interested in what's going on there. And I had a colleague of mine, Evan Liu. I went and played golf with him. We met up. I forget how we met. It had to do with real estate. He's an agent here locally in the Phoenix area. Absolutely amazing human. And I think I invited him golfing with us one time. We needed a fourth and got to know him more. And him and I built a relationship. And at one point he texted me, he goes, "Hey man, I've been thinking about joining this thing called SubTo." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've been thinking about it too." And so we ended up doing it. I told my wife about it. I remember distinctly in that moment, I'm like, I'm gonna invest into me. And that's what it turned into, an investment into me. And it was a little bit of a leap of faith, you know? At the time, I think it was $8,900 or $9,800 or something like that to join. And at the time, that seemed daunting. That seemed like, oh my gosh, $10,000 to just join a real estate group, right? And now looking back, that is a penny in the bucket to the amassed value that I've walked away with. And I'll touch on that here in a little bit, but you know, we bit the bullet and we did a payment plan, which you guys can do too. And I can connect you with my MSA, member service success advisor, that can help you get all that set up so you don't have to blow 10K right off the top. You can do equal interest-free monthly payments too, to join. And I'll tell you, making that leap was courageous. It was exciting. It was also like putting my foot to the fire, holding me and myself accountable. Like, Landon, you're doing it, now do it. And I'm grateful that I did. I joined again a year ago last week. And it took me personally 6 months to get my first SubTo deal. I still own that property. It's up in Vancouver, Washington. It's off 105th Street. We have a long-term tenant that's actually renewing their lease here, I think, next week to stay again. And they're paying $3,750 a month to rent that home. 3% interest rate. I have 2 partners within the community. One's my battle buddy, and another person is I host a weekly Zoom within the SubTo calendar with Brad Contreras and Torrin Murfin. And so it took me 6 months of hard work. I'll be transparent. It is hard work, but I forced the hard work. I wanted the hard work. That's never been an obstacle for me to hide behind and not do, is putting in the work, because that is the magic sauce. But before that first SubTo deal, let me back up again, I'm sorry, is I was able to pay for my mentorship again because I was so worried about the money. Truthfully, as a family, we didn't have a kid at the time, but it was coming, and I'm like, I just invested $10,000 into something, and I just need to get that money back. I feel like I'll be whole if I get that money back, and then I'm good, right? And I end up doing 2 Gator lending deals. If you want to learn a little bit more about Gator lending, I'll do a future video on all of that. It's where you can lend out small chunks of money, like mine were like $5,000 and $7,500 and $2,000, and you get a return on that money of almost like the equal amount or 50% of the amount. And so I was able to make my money back on my mentorship by doing a few Gator lending deals. And I learned how to do that from others within the community. And so now I'm in the community for quote unquote free, after learning some things that I can take forward. And now we do a ton of Gator deals and a ton of lending deals that allow us to not only get more money, but also help other people within the community. And we have a team now that we all support, and we pool our money to lend out on bigger deals and what we're doing, which is super exciting. But I remember in those first 6 months, I really dedicated myself, still working a full-time W-2, still work it today, and I have to navigate balancing life, work, family, fatherhood, being a husband, and myself, don't forgetting my own identity, and my dreams and my why, and figuring out those things. And in that first 6 months, it was tough. There were sacrifices that had to be made, but they're so worth it. And the person I am now, the man I am now, the father that I am now, the husband I am now, the investor I am now, and the opportunities in front of me are worth every minute. And who I am has changed so significantly that I'm a completely different person for the better. And I will say that, you know, the SubTo Mentorship and SubTo community is just that. It's a community. It's a mentorship. You have people who've achieved and are achieving what you want to do and who you want to become. I've met my best friends within the community. I've met my business partners, my lending partners, and more so than anything else, it's mindset shift too, because you're paying to put yourself in a room, right? I put this analogy as well too, because I go to a gym here locally in Phoenix called Lifetime Fitness. And I think my family and I's monthly membership cost to that gym is $390. That's her and I, and then the daycare for the little one, which could seem like daunting to most. But let me change your mind here and your mindset, and you'll think of it the same way with SubTo. Is if I'm willing to pay that kind of money to be in that gym, who do you think else is? Who else do you think is? High achievers, high income earners, all those things. That's putting me in a sauna, that's putting me on a fitness floor, in a gym, and around people and mothers and fathers and entrepreneurs and business owners and all of those things that can afford that gym membership. Sure, it was a little bit of a push outside of my comfort zone, but by me putting myself in that room, I've met my best friends, my business partners as well too. We went on trips to Cabo together to celebrate birthdays and this and that. We support each other's families. I have one of my best friends owns Phoenix Mortgage Brokers. Do you think that's a valuable relationship, that you'd be willing to pay a monthly membership to a gym to get better for yourself? And guess what? That number, that amount of money I'm paying every month, not anymore, but early on, yeah, it reminded me I need to get to the gym and make sure it's valuable enough, right? And the SubTo Mentorship is very much the same, is that you're paying to get in the room. And that room is a community of 13,000 people who also want to see you succeed and thrive. I can't express that enough, that the people around you, you are the conglomerate of the 5 people around you, except those 5 within SubTo are 13,000. And I can't preach that louder through this camera right now, that we want to see you succeed, because we see a lot of you and me. I see a lot of me and you, you know, like, and it's more of a mindset shift that you can do it. Some redneck kid from Central Oregon stepped up and joined a community that supports him and allows him to be his best version of himself. And so after that 6 months of, you know, hard work, educating, listening to live seller calls, knowing, you know, the avatar that I am, which I'm a visionary. So I'm always thinking like a squirrel, and I'm out there wanting to do this. You know, I'm not a big CRM, like computer guy, systems or whatever. You'd think I would be as an engineer. And I have a little bit of that in me, I'll be honest, but it is not what fuels me. What fuels me is connecting with people like you and creating content like this that hopefully genuinely has an impact on you, that helps you make one decision to help change your life. That is my currency, is getting a DM from someone saying, Landon, this video, what you said here changed my framework that allowed me to get this deal, which is changing my life. I can't tell you how much that pours into my heart and makes me full and wholesome and fulfilled. But so mindset shift was huge coming into SubTo, because you're having different conversations with high level people. And then the deals in and of themselves are impactful, right? I talked about that one deal, my very first deal in May of 2023. From then, a fuse got lit, and it spurned into where I was now getting an aha bug of like addicted to the process of finding these deals, negotiating with agents and sellers and getting them under contract, finding buyers for them to wholesale these deals. That's what I ended up doing. And we now own a wholesaling team, Pine to Palm Homes. You can go to pinetopalmhomes.com if you're a buyer of deals. If you have deals that you want us to help close for you or find a buyer for, like, we're building out a whole team for that. And I have like 7 other guys that are on my team that work with me, that's what we do. And it's beautiful, and I get to work with them. We have text threads that we laugh and we share what we're grateful for every single morning. The culture is amazing. But early on, you know, there were times in June and July and August I was doing this and I had like 3 or 4 properties in escrow. Yes, that quickly. The fuse got lit, right? Because I'm around the right people. Chris Jean-Baptiste is a big influence into who I am today and has allowed me to be in the right room with him, to get to know him and what he was doing and what he is currently doing. And that allowed me to get multiple properties under contract, close them, find buyers for them, develop relationships with buyers of deals in certain markets that I was working in at the time, as well as realizing that it takes a team if you really want to scale. Because I got to a point in August where I closed on, I think, 4 SubTo deals. I kept one of them, and I want to touch on that one too, but I got to a point in those 4 deals where I was overwhelmed, right? I had a property in escrow here, I was negotiating on this one here, I was closing on this one here, the buyer's backing out on this one here. Being alone, it's so hard to do it alone. So I learned in that moment that I need to develop out of a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset, where I needed to develop a team. I need to develop a partnership, a transaction coordinator, and all of the pieces. But that's an involvement that you're gonna have to go through, and everyone does when you get there. For me, I'm the blue collar, I'll change my own oil mindset kind of guy, where I didn't want to do it until I had to do it. And I'm grateful I did. But adding a partner, adding a team member is really saving you time and resources that you can split it up. And the moniker I always go back to is 50% of a watermelon is much bigger than 100% of a grape. And I can't emphasize that enough, of a teamwork atmosphere. It's so beautiful when you have that. And I'll touch on that here in a bit. But yeah, another property I closed on, SubTo, up in Kalispell, Montana. I own it as, a short-term rental property. My wife and I are gonna go spend the entire month of June up there in 2024. So if you're in Montana, hit me up. I would love to meet you and have you over to the house. But we bought that home. I called the agent myself. She thought I was a salesman trying to like market her listing or do virtual camera stuff. End up having a conversation with her, ends up being a great fit. And I purchased that home. My total wire to buy that house was $27,118 at a 2.5% interest rate for a $500,000 home. It's just bananas. And of that, that's cash to seller. That's the agent's commission, that's closing costs, and my transaction coordinator fee. That set up all the servicing, that set everything up. And to get in on that home, right? And then I think I put another $25K into furnishings for that. So I'm all in at $52,000. So at 10% down in 2023, I bought a home, I furnished it, listed it on Airbnb, at a 2.5% interest rate. My payment on that house is $2,100 a month. We're gonna do probably in year 1, $75,000 to $80,000 in gross revenue at that one Airbnb. Net, probably 42K, 44K. So nearly 100% return in year 1 as a short-term rental. And so, astounding for one property, right? So now I have 2 that I purchased last year, SubTo. I've done over 30 wholesale transactions as well in 2023, because that's what really lit the fuse. And when I found the partner too, it just expanded, and so 30 creative wholesale transactions. I bought 2 more rental properties. One is a long-term rental in Washington, one is a short-term rental in Montana. And we're in escrow for, I think, 4 right now. We're looking at taking one down in San Antonio, Texas. That's a 2.625% interest rate with a $23,000 entry on a $250,000 home. And I have 4 acquisition specialists that currently work on the team. We have 2 requisites out for 2 more people to add to the team, as well as I have a closer on the team and my dispo manager, integrator, who sells the deals. There's multiple deals that go through our pipeline now that I don't even touch. I don't even know. There was a deal that we just found the buyer for that I was CC'd on in Killeen, Texas. I never even looked it up on Zillow. It went through our pipeline and they got across, and I'm getting paid on that deal. And so that's the value of a team and the resources you have. But I can't emphasize enough, it's more so the mindset change. It's more so the abundance change of changing from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, and who I became as a husband, as a father, and all the changes. The money is one thing, right? We have the passive income from the rental, the short-term rental, all of the wholesales. We're getting $10,000 to $20,000 wholesale fees. Of course, we're splitting it up, but when you're doing 3 to 4 a month, it adds up. And I'm still working my W-2 as a mechanical engineer, and it's all about intentional time blocking. That's what works for me. So if you're having a hard time managing your time, please don't just complain about it. Take action to solve it. What works for me is every evening at 7:45 p.m. before I go to bed at 8:15, I take 10 minutes to map out my day in terms of what tasks I want to do tomorrow, and I assign a time amount towards them, that I'm going to work towards it. So those tasks now have a time associated throughout my day. And so a lot of that is my W-2, right? But there's a lunch hour. There's some time before. I wake up at 3:30 every morning. That's a personal thing. It's not to brag. It's just how I operate. I'm a morning person. I'm not a night person. I will get in bed tonight at 8:15. I'm an old man. But I just allot my time, and I'm very efficient. I have to Google time block time with my wife. I'm just so hyper-focused because I'm addicted to it. It's so fun. I get to hang with my friends and do business and make money and do deals and buy homes. I'm buying homes. I'm not buying my first home for $258,000 using traditional financing, 20% down, and I hope they approve me, and I hope the appraisal comes back in time, and I hope this, and what about that? Now I'm at a point of a mindset shift completely. And I'll tell you, it allows you to graduate. And what's cool in the process is you get to learn what's called your avatar. Your avatar is who you are coming out as to what you're going to be successful at within the community. There's so many different avatars. My business partner, Chris Geddes, lives in Bozeman, Montana. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. He is the yin to my yang. The guy is a Google software engineer, project manager, and absolutely kills it behind these computer screens right here. He's the guy. Plus he's a night owl. He'll stay up till like 2 a.m. working on stuff. And I'll look at it and be like, oh, Chris is up. No, he's going to bed at 2 a.m. and I'm just waking up. And we work like that. And he just like, yep, hey man, I knocked this out for us. I know we needed this. We added this power dialer. We did this, we did that. I set this up with our CRM. I'm like, awesome, dude. Okay, great. I'm gonna go out and find us more deals. I'm gonna go close more deals. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna build this. And we just work so well together. And you're gonna find that person within the community too. I promise you. And if you put the work in, and the work that you put in is going to allow you to be deserving enough to be in the right room around the right person at the right time, that you guys coexist together to build a relationship together. And it's going to work out perfectly. You may go through 1 or 2 of them, right? And the work is the filter. The work that you do in every single day is going to come out that they want to align with you, and vice versa, right? So like Chris, my partner, is someone that it took time for us to develop a relationship because I wanted to truly test, like, hey, are you really putting in the work? Are you matching the effort that I'm putting in every day? Because that's the person I want to align with. And he did. He kept showing up, kept making calls, got his first deal. I host a Zoom within the SubTo calendar called Closers Cafe. And that's where we, for 2 hours every day, 9 to 11 a.m., you will literally see me pick up my phone and call agents on there and talk about creative finance and know exactly what to say, how to say it, the tonality of what to say, what not to say, how to overcome objections, how to do this, how to whatever. Chris was on there and he got his first ever deal from there that he owns today in Billings, Montana. And so that is the filter for me to go, that's a person I want to be around, right? And I got to know him at a deeper level. I now know his beautiful wife, Amanda. He's hung out with me. We've stayed in the same house together multiple times now, and we go to masterminds together. He's going to come down here next week for a mastermind that I'm not even going to, called Raise Fest. And it's just beautiful seeing him go do the work without me having to tell him to go do it. Does that make sense? And you're going to be around those people. And that's what I would say is, like, the money it costs to get into SubTo could seem daunting, but I would pay the $10,000, if it's $10,000, I don't know how much it is right now. If it's $10,000, I would pay that just simply for the relationships of the people within the community. Mind you, I haven't said Pace's name once yet in this video, let alone the value of having the leader being the most gracious, the most friendliest, the most giving, and so intellectual and so smart, and leads with integrity. I should be yelling that. Is everything you see and everything you hear from everyone else about who he is, he is. I've spent multiple weekends with him. We just got back from a trip. Pace and I went to Utah for a meetup in the Chris Crone podcast, and then we flew from there to San Diego, California, drove to Temecula, California. We flew together, we rode together, we slept in the hotels together, we went to a mastermind together for the entire weekend. He invited me to. We've done lunches, dinners. We traveled to Montana to that Airbnb together and stayed there. He was the first person to ever, let me put it this way. He was the first person to ever book that Airbnb. Go on my Airbnb listing. I'll put a link down below. Look at the first review. Get this. He booked it, then texts me, says, hey, you want to come to Montana? I booked an Airbnb and we're going to go up there and shoot some content and walk some properties. So he booked my Airbnb, paid for the entire weekend of the booking, not for the trip. I had to pay for the trip, and I stayed in my own house that he paid for. Wild, right? Like, that doesn't say enough about that person. Like, amazing. And so he just provides value within the community, so much so. And I know he will for you too. And this isn't me to try and sway you to go. I'm just giving you my honest feedback of the SubTo community. And I would love to hear in the comments maybe some other questions you may have, or let's set up a time for us to just chat and we can chat through some of those questions. If you're like on the fence about joining, I would love to chat for you or chat with you. And again, it isn't to get you to join by no means. Like, it's your own world, but I'll tell you that it's a different level person. The money is simply just a filter to those who want it. And if you want it, this is the room to be in. I'll tell you, like being around the Chris Geddes, the Pace Morbies, the Ingrid Hernandez, the Kevin Cho. Kevin Cho and I just got off of a 30-minute phone call. We're meeting up tomorrow morning in the sauna at the gym. He goes to the same gym as me. And he goes, hey, I would love to have 30 minutes in the sauna with you. I just hired a COO. He's 23 years old. He just hired a COO to manage all of his stuff. She raised $250,000 on her first day, this and that, whatever. And so I'm in the room around that, and you get to be too. It's so amazing, and I'm so grateful for the community. And guess what? You get it for the rest of your life. That small investment, you get a community of support behind you. If you go away for a little bit, you can always come back. There's 39 weekly Zooms live that you can tune into. I have people come up on my Zoom that I host that make phone calls, and I provide critiques and help tweak their calls and make them better and pour into them, because that's the mentality of everyone in the group. Is we give, we love on each other. We love everyone here. And not only that, I host locally a power hour here in Phoenix, where I get 10 people together max. We sit in a room. I bring the leads of prime sub-twos that my team is closing, but prime sub-twos in markets that we're not working. I give it to people in the room, and I teach you how to make those calls. We make them together. We do deals together, right? That's all coming out of SubTo. We do a ton of seller finance deals. We do novations. We do Morby methods. We do cash deals, right? We do fix and flips, like all these little things within here. It's not just SubTo. And so what I'll tell you is, 2023 was a remarkable year, a very big mindset shift year, a big physical shift year as it relates to where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I can accomplish. My eyes are here now. They're not just here. They're thinking of, how can I help others? How can I pour into Chris more to have him be the best version of himself? Because if he's the best version of himself, he's going to elevate me, and we're going to do big things together, right? And so that's the mindset. That's the kind of person that's within the community. It's really cool. In 2024, I have some ambitious goals, and I'm really excited about those. I'm nervous about those, which is, I think, how you should feel. It's how I've always felt about the ventures I'm going on. And having an ambitious goal like retiring my wife, purchasing multiple rental properties, building $1 million wholesale company, really trickles down when you reverse engineer it into your daily habits and intentions. And that's when I go back to and look further into my time blocking and my calendars and everything that I'm doing, managing my personal W2. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys at local meetups here in Arizona. I host a power hour here in Phoenix, Arizona, in North Scottsdale. If you guys want to come to those, DM me or comment down below and hit me up on Instagram. You can find my Instagram at @more_deals. I'll put a little link right here for you guys to hit that. As well as too, I'm gonna be traveling around and I wanna meet you at meetups and all those things, because the more we can collaborate and I can provide value, you can provide value to me, and we can do deals together. And that's what this whole community is about. So thank you so much for hanging out and watching all of this, and we'll see you soon. Peace.